Hi, I'm Sarah Bargijan and welcome to day 4 of our yoga challenge. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Before you go back to your mat, just click on the subscription button below. That really helps my channel to grow. Thank you so much. And let's begin. You're going to need a strap or a belt or even a narrow hand towel and a towel or a blanket, which you'll be sitting on a little bit later. So I want you to begin, please, on hands and knees. Make sure that your fingers are evenly separated and your index fingers are pointing straight forwards. Separate your knees, tuck your toes under. Now lift your knees up off the floor just a little bit and you'll feel your abdominal muscles strengthening, toning, engaging. Push the floor away from you and then start to straighten your legs and come into downward facing dog. If you need to walk your feet back a little bit, please do. Hang your head. So here we're already in a forward fold. Squeeze your legs and press your heels down. This is going to emphasize the lengthening in the backs of your legs. If you push your heels down that little bit more, you'll feel your calf muscles also lengthen. Take a couple of breaths here. Make sure that your feet are wide apart, outer hip width apart. Now walk your hands back halfway. So you feel like you're in a short down dog. You might have a little more success here with pressing your heels down into the floor. And please do feel free to bend your knees here if you need to. Make sure your toes are all pointing forwards towards your hands and that your feet are still nice and wide apart. Now walk your feet forward, so come up onto your fingertips and come into standing forward fold. Again, feet apart. The wider your feet are apart here, the more accessible the pose is. It's not cheating, it's just making the pose a little bit more easy, more open, especially if you're tight on the backs of the legs, which so many of us are. Keep knitting the lower abdominal muscles and push your hands down. Make sure every finger is on the floor, so bend your knees if you need to. Now from here, do bend your knees and bring your hands one by one onto your hips and come up to standing. Come to the front of your mat now, and again, feet outer hip width apart, toes point forward, bring your hands down by your sides. Turn your palms out to the side walls and bring your arms up overhead. Keep your arms parallel, don't bring your palms together. Now bend your knees and come into chair pose. Then fold forward, bring your hands to either sides of your feet, so a little more challenging than ahead of your feet, so you might need to keep your knees bent. Raise your chest and look forward, so it's like a half lift. And walk back to downward facing dog, where you were before. Take as many steps as you need to. Now come forward into plank. Bring your knees to the floor and bring your whole body down. Try and land it all at once, thighs, pubic bone, belly. Then curl up into Cobra. We're not completely forgetting back bends here. What I do want you to do is bring your feet a little closer to each other so your inner thighs engage and lift your chest up that little bit higher, like you did in day 3 of our challenge. Move your body weight forward as you press your hands back. Now tuck your toes under, come back to downward facing dog. Put a little bend in your knees and look forwards between your hands. And step your right foot in between your hands. Now, keep your right hand inside your right foot, so move it next to your left hand and keep your back leg straight and keep your hands on the floor here. Turn your back inner thigh, your left inner thigh, up a little bit more towards the ceiling so the little toe really pushes down into the floor. Now go back to downward facing dog, so pick up that right leg and step back. Do whatever you need to do to maneuver back into down dog. It's a little awkward. Bend both of your knees, look forwards, and again, step the left foot forward. And then bring your left hand inside your left foot and straighten your back leg. Push both of your feet down equally and let your navel rise up towards your spine as you push your hands down. So you're kind of rounding your back here. Let your shoulder blades separate from each other on your upper back. Now put a bit more weight into your right hand so that you can step your left foot back, go back to downward facing dog. And then bring your knees down to the floor. Bring your big toes to touch, side by side, with all your toenails on the floor. And sit back onto your heels. Now keep looking up, raise your chin, look at your hands and walk your hands forward. Bring your forehead to the floor or onto your blanket if your forehead doesn't touch the floor, and come into child's pose. Keep lifting up your armpits away from the floor. Really push your hands down flat like pancakes. Take a couple of breaths here. Long, smooth, even breaths as if you were breathing in and out through a straw. Keep your eyes open. Squeeze your elbows straight. Now come back up to hands and knees. So raise your head, pick up your bottom, and then sit down on the floor. This is where you're going to need your strap. So bring it down by the side in reachable distance, left or right side of the mat, it doesn't matter. And keep your knees bent as you lie down. Then lengthen your legs long down the mat and squeeze your legs together with your toe tips really pointing up towards the ceiling, and even move your toenails towards your face as you push your heels long. Now really press your legs towards each other. This is nothing like Shavasana. If you're in Shavasana, come out of Shavasana, squeeze your legs together and push the backs of your legs down. Now keep the left leg like this. Pick up your right leg and your strap and pick your head up enough so that you can put the strap underneath the ball of your right foot. Make sure your arms are straight, so walk your hands up the strap if you've got your hands down by your body. And then look at your right knee and turn it so that it's really facing your right shoulder. It's not turning to the left or to the right. And push your foot up towards the ceiling. Now don't forget the left leg, the leg you can't see. Push the back of that leg down and turn the left inner thigh down towards the ceiling, because there's a tendency to let that leg turn out to the left and relax here. So keep it strong. And as you stay here for a few more breaths, about 5 more breaths, don't force that foot to come over your head in any way. In fact, if your leg is bent, if your knee is bent, you actually want to straighten that leg and maybe even slide your hands down the strap a little bit. So rather than this is better. Relax your shoulders. Only grab the strap with your hands as much as needed, no more. Now really push down with that left leg, and as you inhale, draw your navel down, knit the lower ribs, and as you exhale, pick your head up and move your chest a little closer towards that right leg, and possibly walk your hands up the strap a little bit more. If your left foot comes off the floor, it's okay. Now, possibly keeping your hands where they are, bring your head back down again. Squeeze both legs really straight and strong. Now bend your right knee, take the strap away, and lengthen your right leg long down the mat next to the left leg. Squeeze your legs together again. Curl your toenails up towards your face. Now keep that right leg pressing down and pick your left leg up. Raise your head enough to be able to put the strap under the ball of your left foot. And again, keep your elbows straight as you push both feet away from you. I find this is a really effective way of lengthening the calf muscles as well. So really do draw all 10 toenails towards your face. Keep turning the right inner thigh down and move the left inner thigh a little bit more forward. So your left knee is pointing towards your left shoulder. So a little bit of outward rotation. It's like you're turning your left toes a little more towards the left. It's not like you are. Now from here, inhale, draw your navel down, knit the lower ribs, and as you exhale on the effort, bring yourself up, move your chest more towards your knee, possibly bring your hands up a little bit more, up the strap. Keep breathing, draw your navel down, keep the right leg strong. This is where you can get a sneak peek at your right foot and see if the toes are pointing to the right. If they are, then point them up to the ceiling. Then come all the way back down again. Couple more breaths here. Keep squeezing the legs strong. It's important for safety's sake, not just because it looks nice, to squeeze the fronts of the legs strong, to protect the backs of the legs as they stretch, and engage them too. Squeeze all around your legs as much as you can. I know this isn't easy. Now bend your left knee, take the strap away, and lengthen your leg long down the mat. Now you don't need the strap anymore, well not for now anyway, so put it to one side and roll over onto your right side and come up again to standing. So bring your hands to the floor, bend your knees, bring your hands onto your hips and hinge up to standing here. Now step wide and parallel your feet. Push your feet down, bring your arms out to the side, squeeze your legs as straight and as strong as you can, and then come into a forward fold. So draw your navel in, bring your fingertips right underneath your shoulders here and keep your elbows straight. Now raise your head, raise your chest and lift up your sitting bones as if you were doing a back bend. Keep pushing your feet down and press your feet towards each other. Squeeze your legs really firmly, right? Hug the muscles of your legs onto your bones. Now this is stage one. Then we're going to come into stage two. So round down. Walk your hands back so your toenails and fingernails line up. And round down, possibly bringing the heels of your hands to the floor as well, but not necessarily. As you push your hands down, lift your shoulders up onto your back and possibly come down more. Those of you that are more flexible, if the top of your head is on the floor, walk your feet a little closer to each other so you've got something to work with. Keep pushing your feet down and towards each other. Keep squeezing your legs. This is a really good way of lengthening your hamstrings. And obviously, I think you probably feel it here. The inner thighs are also getting a good stretch. A couple more breaths. It's worth staying a little longer. Now come back up to that first stage. So raise your head, look forward, walk your fingertips forward again. So your wrists underneath your shoulders, look up again, that back bend feeling, lift up your sitting bones. And then bend your knees, bring your hands one by one onto your hips, come all the way up to standing and heel toe your feet together. Come again to the front of your mat. Separate your feet, bring your hands down by your sides. Turn your palms out to the side walls as before. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Keep your arms parallel. Bend your knees, exhale and fold. Now, keep your feet apart as you fold. Raise your chest, lift up, and as you exhale, with bent knees, drape your belly over your thighs. Now, pick up your right toes and put the palm of your right hand with the fingertips leading underneath the sole of that foot. There's a bit of balance involved here as well. Make sure that for this one, your feet are apart. Then do the same on the left side. Pick up your left toes and put your left hand, kind of like a spade, with the fingertips moving towards the front of your heels as much as you can. Then push your toes down into your hands. Now from here, hang your head, knit the lower ribs so your abdominal muscles are really toning here and slightly squeeze your pelvic floor. Then maybe straighten your legs a touch more. Proceed with caution here. Really notice how this feels. Beware of any old injuries that you've got. Be careful. And try and squeeze the muscles of your legs like you've been doing in all these other poses. The thigh muscles really hugging onto the thigh bones. Stay here for a couple more breaths. Keep breathing deeply. Then bend your knees, release your left hand and then your right hand and walk back to downward facing dog. So keep stepping your feet back. And as you get here, lift up the sitting bones, push your heels down. You might be able to see here. So look at your heels. Perhaps your heels are down a little bit more in down dog than they normally are. Then bring your knees down to the floor and sit onto your heels. Now we're going to do a couple of seated forward folds, and this is where the blanket or towel is going to be really useful. So make sure, I've probably got this folded a little bit too high, make sure that you've got it and you've folded it really nicely so it hasn't got any double creases underneath. It's really smooth fold, and that the front of the blanket is facing towards the screen, so that when you now come and sit down, you're right at the front of the fold, and this is going to help you as you widen your legs to kind of tip forward a little bit. So hopefully you feel like the two top bits of your pelvis here, this is called the front of the hip bones here, make sure that they're really tipping forwards. So when you widen your legs here, the blanket is underneath, tipping you slightly forward, so that your two sitting bones are kind of coming forward over the fold. Now, reach around for your strap and just have it nearby your right leg. Then look at your left leg, and I want you to bend it and bring it in kind of like that tree pose shape. Then turn your chest so it's facing towards your right leg. Get your strap, bend the right leg, and then lasso it over the sole of your foot. Straighten that leg. This is a little bit of a twisting action here. With both hands on the strap, turn your left ribs towards your right big toe. Now raise your chest. Please feel free to stay upright like this, or possibly fold forward as you keep pressing the back of the right leg down. Let your left knee feel heavy and drop. Maybe walk your hands a little closer to your foot, possibly, as you draw all 5 toenails closer in towards you. If you can come down further, feel free, but do be aware that you're getting quite a strong tugging here in the left lower back. So don't force that. Then coming to the other side, slide your hands up the strap, or you can put your hands on the floor and push yourself up. Then lengthen the left leg, bend the right leg, turn your belly and your chest so that if there were a light shining out of your chest, it would illuminate the top of your foot. Bend the left leg, put the strap there. This is your arm lengthener, this strap. Turn your chest maybe a little bit more, and then drawing your navel in, knitting in the lower ribs, possibly come down. If you're worried about your back, if you have any back injuries, stay up. A couple more breaths here. Some of you might not need the strap. You might be able to get your foot. If that's the case, be my guest. Lift your elbows up if they're bent to help broaden your collarbones. And then slowly come up, bend the knee, take the strap away, and put the strap to one side and lengthen both of your legs long. So a wide-legged forward fold. Bring your hands onto the blanket or the floor behind you and get tall. So you're lengthening the front body. Squeeze your legs strong and then slowly, if possible, come forward. Now, when you come forward, if you feel like you could come forward enough, take your hands away and not lose your balance and fall back, you can bring your hands ahead of you. This is a tricky pose. Really try and emphasize the rolling forward over your sitting bones, and the blanket is there to help you. Keep squeezing your legs strong. If you can bring your elbows to the floor, do. If you can move them a little further away from you, do. But again, be kind to your body here. Try not to harm it. This is all supposed to be therapeutic and beneficial. Don't strive. Notice if you're feeling inadequate, or if this is bringing up feelings of wishing you could, or maybe once you could do this. Be patient and be kind with yourself, and just do what you can. Now coming out of this, walk your hands back. Bring your hands under your knees to hoist your legs up and move off the blanket or the towel. Put this where you're going to be placing your head, or near to where you're going to be placing your head when you come into the final pose, Savasana, and we're nearly there. So from here, bring your feet to the floor, lie all the way down. We're going to do a counter pose here, bridge pose. So press your elbows down, fingertips pointing up to the ceiling, and bring your shoulder blades towards each other under your upper back. Then push your feet down as you pick up your pelvis, pick your bottom up, interlace your hands underneath the mat. Now, if that isn't going to happen for you today, just grab the sides of your mat. It's just as good. If you can interlace your hands, move your upper arms closer to each other, straighten your elbows, and press your little fingers and the sides of your wrists down. Then bring your upper arms even closer to each other. Squeeze your knees towards each other so your thighs feel parallel, and push your tailbone towards your knees. Now lift your chin a little bit here and even slightly shrug your shoulders up towards your ears so you're not straining your neck. Maybe come up a little higher. 3, keep breathing. 2, 1. Really let the front body lengthen here. Then release your hands and slowly come all the way down. If you've got a blanket or the towel nearby, this is a nice time to reach around, get it. Put it under your head and let the fold of it touch the tops of your shoulders. Then even scrunch it a little bit underneath your neck so you really feel like you're being nurtured, and mush it around your head here. So you're getting some really nice sort of nurturing hugging from the blanket. And then bring your hands down by your sides, palms up. Lengthen your legs long, one by one, down the mat. Make sure you're not touching any straps or water bottles or anything here, so your nervous system is completely unstimulated. You can really just relax. Close your eyes, and for a minute here, just be in complete silence. Let yourself be held. Practice the art of relaxation, and I'll let you know in about a minute when it's time to come out. Stay here. Let yourself be held. Now, bend your knees one by one, bringing the soles of your feet to the floor. And roll over onto your right side. Pause for a moment and notice how you feel. Then press your left hand down and your right to push yourself up to sit. Sit cross-legged and sit as tall and as comfortably as you can. Bring your hands down onto your legs with your palms facing down and close your eyes. Slightly lower your chin so you lengthen the back of your neck, and bring your hands to your heart. Lower your chin so it touches your fingertips, uniting the mind with the body. Then bring your hands down onto your legs with your palms facing up, and stretch your fingers straight as you press the backs of your hands down into your legs. Lift up the base of your breastbone, lifting up your heart. Open your eyes. Namaste. Well done. If you haven't done days 1, 2, and 3, there they are up there. Please feel free to have a look at them anytime, and if you've got the time and the energy, go ahead and do 1 or 2 of them right now. And remember to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in day 5. Take care.